Well, good morning, Tanea. Very nice to have you with us today on this podcast. And I know you're super busy, so thank you again for joining.
Well, thank you for asking me to come on. I'm really excited.
Of course. And by way of a formal introduction, Tanea Soto from Century 21, Judge Fight. What a great, great company that is. And specifically, I wrote it down, so I hopefully won't mess this up. Midlothian office. Did I get
Yes.
that right?
Yes, you did.
All right, that's a mouthful, that Midlothian. You don't want to say that more than once fast. Well, again, thank you very much. And, we mentioned when we were speaking earlier, the real purpose. That's my beautiful wife over here. Hi, honey.
Hey,
The
honey.
real, Tanea says, hi, honey. Um, the real purpose of the podcast, the mindset of a champion, what sets you apart, is so that when we send referrals your way, people can actually hear it from you, not just from us. What sets you apart, what you do, just that little extra special touch that you add to really help family of clients. So we're excited to learn more about you and to see what you do, in the real estate community there. So just to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about how and when you jumped into the real estate field?
Yeah, I have actually been in the real estate sector for a very long time, starting in leasing apartments, and then went and did other things, then went into working for a commercial developer, which then set me with a residential developer, and then somebody who did like flips and rental properties. And then it's during that time that I was like, oh, everybody kept saying, why aren't you a realtor? Why aren't you a realtor? And I was like, I really just didn't want to take the test. Um,
Not an easy test either.
Actually, it wasn't that bad. So I
Oh,
think
good.
I psyched myself up for far too long on that one. But then I call myself a COVID baby. I'm a COVID realtor. So when we got locked down, I was like, okay, let me do this. I'm all locked away. Nobody's going to know if I failed anyway. So
Right.
did it online and one and done. And I was off to the races from there.
Wow, that's great. So many have failed the first time, maybe even the second time. And I know in our business, in the mortgage business, it's not an easy test either.
Yeah.
And even though there's less questions on the test than the real estate test, it's, I got one buddy of mine, he's going for four's a charm. So we
Oh,
we
I've heard the stories, and even when I was in class, you have because we were doing online classes and through Champions, and we had like in one class, I think we had like 142 people taking this one class, and that's all you're hearing is like, oh my gosh, I'm having to retake this class because I failed it, three times. I'm like,
right.
what is this test? And then you realize when you get in real estate that they taught you everything of what not to do. Now you have to go learn what to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's so true. That test is really to make sure you understand laws and regulations and Regulation Z and TILA and RESPA and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which is great. We need to know that stuff, but they don't teach you how do you help people? How do you get out and grow your business?
Yes.
All these things we need to know.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. And then as we mentioned, Judge Fight. What a fantastic company that is.
Amazing.
Quality people. Tell us a little bit about your jump to Judge Fight and what it's like being there.
I really love it. They have so much structure for agents, the importance of even coming into the office. And actually, I think that's been huge for me. I came from a brick and mortar, but there wasn't a lot of agents that came in. And that's really not why I came to Judge Fight. But when I got there, I realized how important that was because it was like, having a mentor without having a mentor because you have all
Yeah.
these aides you're learning from, you're hearing stuff, you're in conversations, daily if you're going to the office daily. And quite honestly, the ones that are at the office are the top producers. So I always told one of my friends, I was like, I'm not paying all that for a mentor or for a coach.
Right.
But when I came over here, I mean, that's literally what I'm getting. So I do see the importance of it. So I love that. I mean, just the stuff they offer their agents is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I've spoke with several agents from Judge Fight, Colleyville office, and a few other offices, and very similar to what you just said. The culture is amazing. When you go into the office, you feel like, even if you're working on something here, but you're overhearing a conversation, how
Mhm.
somebody handles maybe or overcomes an objection or whatever it may be. And it's just that value that you don't get when you're at home or working with, somewhere else kind of alone.
Right.
So yeah, that's
And like
fantastic.
yeah, they love to be out in the community. They do a lot of community events. They're a part of a lot of the different, council things that are going on. They're very in the know. So, even just their mindset, like they're not just selling real estate. They're like really, knowing the area, knowing what's going on. They know how to inform the people. And it's just blown my mind, the mindset there.
No, that's fantastic. Well, no wonder you landed at a good place. It feels like home. And once you're in a good place, then other things just seem to
Yeah.
fall together, and that's great to hear. Tell us a little bit about your local market, and if there's any specialty groups that you look to focus on.
Well, I have not farmed my area, which was one thing when I came over to Judge Fight. I said I'm gonna farm my area, and wow, coming from Mansfield, which is literally the city next door to Midlothian, a world of a difference. There's so much land over here. There's so many things going on. And the development over here is crazy. So we're seeing a lot more listings come out. Buyers are coming back to the market, so that's great. Um, all of us hate to hear, oh, the interest rate's so high.
Right.
I, I'm like, you cannot say, when you say that, I know that you know nothing about the market, because the incentives, the builders incentive, I mean, the
So good.
DFW and specifically the southern region of the DFW, everybody's pushing this way. So at this point, the interest rate shouldn't even be an issue because there's so much going on. There's seller concessions, there's builders incentives. So, and that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing it explode over here and start to pick up. So,
That's amazing. And you're so right. What you mentioned about when you hear somebody and all they talk about is rate, rate, rate. And I asked them, I says, uh, what's connected to the rate?
exactly.
It's the monthly payment. Can you afford the monthly payment? Do you love that house that Tanea just showed you? Do you
Right.
love all the incentives that come with it? Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, then buy it.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? Oh,
Yeah.
wait for the rates to drop. And I'm like, your mindset, we need to help educate that and say,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, what's the
When
cost
those,
of waiting?
right. When those rates were low, you didn't have negotiation power. You didn't have, people were giving up doing inspections, appraisal waivers, like all the things. Like, so it was at some sacrifice.
Absolutely. And I know you've seen them too. There's infographics like on social media that show, the cost of waiting. It's like if
Mhm.
you would have bought, 3 years ago and compared to today, even if the rate was a little bit higher, but you could still afford that monthly payment, look at all the equity you missed in there.
Yeah.
And so, it's that constant education that you and I both do
Yeah.
to help people really understand so that they can prepare. No, that's great. Do you run into very many military families or people, or a lot of people relocating maybe from city to city, or coming from California? I know. A lot of
Oh, yeah,
people are coming.
a lot of relocation. I call Texas the refugee state. A lot of transplant. I mean,
Yeah.
technically I'm a transplant, but I've been here for a very long time, so I call myself a Texan. So, and so does my family in Illinois, since I sound like everybody here.
I was gonna say, so originally from
Illinois.
the Chicago area or Illinois?
Yes, originally from St. Charles, West Chicago
Okay.
area. So, but I've
Yeah.
been in Texas a really long time, so I'm a Texas girl.
So are you a Bears fan or
I am.
Cowboys fan?
Woo! Go Bears. Round two.
What a game.
Yeah.
That was an incredible comeback, and now it's the clash against the Rams, huh? Coming up.
Yeah. So we'll see.
That'll be a great game. Great game. Well, tell us a little bit about, and I really like this next question because it gets to the core of kind of who we are and our thinking. The mindset of a champion. What does that mean to you? And more importantly, Tanea, how does that impact your daily routine, the things you do in your daily life?
Um, I guess I would have to say my thing is educating people. I am a trainer. I've been a trainer for a very long time. And, most people like, I've tried this diet, I've tried this diet, I've tried this diet, and it didn't work. Well, first of all, the whole problem with that is you're doing a diet. Long term, it can't be a diet. Like, this is a lifestyle. So, same thing for real estate. Like, it's not, I'm not trying to sell you a house today. I want to prepare you. I want you to know like everything it's going to take once you get there. I don't want you to be house poor. If we can negotiate and get it cheaper, let's get it cheaper. Let's look at the big picture. Let's put a plan together. My thing is, I'm not saying let's close by the end of this month. Let's,
Right.
if it's not 2026, it's 2027, but what are the steps that we need to do to get to 2027? you know so that's my biggest thing, and I think that comes from me being a trainer. Like, we're going to take baby steps, and we're going to make sure that this is long lasting. You're not going to get in this house, be house poor, and then lose it, or you're calling me freaking out that you need to sell it you know
Yeah, no, that's such a great way of thinking, and what it does too is it shows people that you're not desperate in your work so much so that you're putting pressure on them. Oh, we got to close, we got to do this now. People sense that, don't they? Yeah, you feel that even in your other work as a trainer, um, you got to know your audience, right?
I'm not gonna make you do 10,000 burpees to lose that that
Oh,
way.
please
You're not
don't.
coming back.
Yeah. Oh no, no. That's how long have you worked in the training field as well?
In 2012, I got my first certification.
Hmm.
And I did do it full time for a while. But real estate kept pulling me and pulling me and pulling. And honestly, it was probably like in 2024, then I was like, okay, I got to give this up, and I'm going in on real estate. So
No,
I
that's
read it,
great.
and I still get the same satisfaction when it was, helping people train for a Spartan race. Oh, I can never do the 15 miles and 30 obstacle courses. To now I'm at, I'm the first one buying a home, in my family. I've helped the youngest client I've had is 19 years old buying a home.
Wow.
After that, like 21. So, and then somebody who said, and this is my friend, she's probably going to watch this, but her husband had been in America for 10 years and working on getting his citizenship. And he kept saying, when I get my green card, I'm going to buy a house. And they closed last April, 1 year after he
Oh,
got his. So stuff like that is just,
so satisfying, isn't it?
yeah, that's what I'm working for, is those things.
That's great. And you know what? You never lose the trainer in you, right? It's always there. It's always and the great thing about that is you take that mentality, that background, that experience, and now you just apply it to a different field.
Yeah,
the field that is probably going to be the most expensive decision of their life. And now
absolutely.
you help them, and that's just a wonderful thing. Um, Walk me through, if you wouldn't mind, um, from day, let's say you wake up in the morning. What does your day look like in real estate?
First thing is check your emails, see who's reached out to you, see who's opened those emails that you sent out.
Yeah, right.
Touch base, you're following up. This year, last year, I started making the phone calls. Got pretty comfortable just sending text message. That interaction, hearing my voice, I think that's really important. So make my phone calls in the morning, admin stuff, phone calls. And then think about what I try to have at least two or three pieces of education come out during the week. So I work on that.
That's great. Is that through social media?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And with some people they ask me, they're like, should I get involved with social media? And I'm like, if you're asking me that question,
Yeah.
it's never too late,
Right.
but you should have started this several years ago. Um, what and I know it's kind of a side question, but as far as social media goes, how effective do you feel that social media is to your business?
Very. And this is, I know I think it goes back to your generation, because I still hear people say, oh, it's not a social media, like you can put your face out there, but it is a face-to-face business, which it is. I 1,000% agree with that. But if the way you're getting out there, is the old way, you're just setting yourself back because honestly, social media is replacing TV, radio,
Yep.
all the things. So why not take advantage of that? And, here in a couple of years, you know, um, I think it's going to be, you can't do it without it.
100%. I
Yeah.
got asked. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I know people aren't comfortable with it, but we're also have that younger generation that are going to be 10 times more tech savvy than we are. And if we're not staying up to date, like if you stay in the old way of doing things,
Hmm.
I mean, your generation probably you can effectively help them, but how are you going to keep business going if this new generation, this younger generation, they're not even going to know what checks are.
Oh no.
You have to evolve. You have to evolve. So I think it's important just to, put, I'm not saying, you need to be an influencer. I definitely am not, I don't want to sing
Me
for,
neither.
I don't want to sing for my supper. But I do think it's important.
And yet you'll play piano. I saw that.
My fake piano playing.
That's funny. Um, yeah, it when you mentioned checks the other day, one of my colleagues, he's a younger loan officer, and he came to me. He says, "Hey, I was asked to filling out an application, and it asked for my ACH information, banking information, and attach a copy of a voided check." He's like, "Where do I get one of those?" And I went, "Oh man, I'm old." You
Uh,
know,
yeah.
but so true. And I heard something else with regards to social media and AI and all of that. It was a question that was asked to a billionaire, and he asked the billionaire, "Will AI replace me?" And the billionaire said, "No, but those that use AI will replace you."
Absolutely.
So early adoption is important, even if
Right.
it's we got to step out of our comfort zone a little bit. And so no, you do a great job. My wife and I noticed on your social media, you really portray reality, in your own life, your family, and how you help people. So that's great. Good work by you.
Thank you.
Of course. And you mentioned COVID time, and you're coming into real estate and all of that. You didn't come in at an easy time. There's that pandemic threw the world for a loop. And so a question is, from the time that you started in real estate and got your license all through COVID and all of that, did you have to make any pivots or adjustments to the way you uh, did your business or tried to grow your business?
Absolutely. And actually, my first year in real estate, I was Rookie of the Year. I was flying high, going for it, and that young, immature mentality, I was like, I got this. I don't need to do anything different. And then it was like, phew.
Yeah,
And I always tell everybody it had nothing to do with the market. Even this year or 2025, it was a harder market, slowed down. It was my best year. So
congrats.
it really has to do with the work you put in place. The worth, I don't think from the beginning, I didn't set it up as my job. It was just something I was doing. And I was like, it's just going to come. It's just going to come. And I don't need to put this in the system. I'll remember. And then none of that happened. So it's just, then the next 3 years were like,
Yep, yep.
so I was like, okay. So at the end of 2024, I told one of my really good friends, I was like, okay, 2025, top 10. We have to be in the top 10. And I did hit that goal. So, but again, it was just getting back to the basics, like, this is work. And now I have to work like I never want to go back to work. If I go back to
Yeah,
work because I want to, and it's a great opportunity, not because I have to. And I think that's where a lot of us, even getting into the industry, you don't realize, I want to work for myself. Well, I don't think people realize you are every part of that business. I'm like my old boss said, you're the janitor and you're the CEO.
that's
You gotta
right.
do everything. So, yeah.
And here's a question too, when people get all excited about the concept, oh, I'm going to work for myself, I'm be my own boss. Yes, I'm part of a team, but I'll go into the office when I want to or whatever. And as soon as I get my license, I'm going to make a lot of money.
Hmm.
And that reality is usually quickly shattered
Hmm.
by the reality of it
Yeah.
is, oh, wait, I got to roll up my sleeves and work. Yes, you do. And you got to
Exactly.
work every day.
Yeah, you realize that motivation is a fleeting feeling, and it's all about discipline, setting that stuff up and then doing it every day over and over and over. And that's what I go back to. It's similar to, having a lifestyle. It could be boring with getting up and going to the gym at the same time, but if that's the time that works for you, then go. If those are the foods that, you felt you're best at, stick with that. Same thing
Yeah.
with, whatever you do, you can apply it to any business, put your structure in place and stick to it.
Absolutely. No, that's well said. And, you know, um, another question I was thinking about is when it comes to family support, especially if we're jumping into, maybe we're going from training now to real estate and we make that decision, I'm all in. How important is it to have your family's support?
Oh, very important. My husband is my number one supporter, so he's the one that sees, me on the phone with my client, and we got this. It's okay. It's all right. We're just gonna resubmit it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and then I hang up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like,
He
and
helps
then
pick up the tears and
yeah. And he's like, you're all right. You got this, think through this. So, yeah, it's very important. So, and I do
yeah.
need that support. So it's great. So,
No, that's fantastic. And I know my wife too. She is she's my why. That's why we wake up each day and intentional and more intentional about what we're going to do, how we're going to help more people. It's because of her. And in fact, she got me this beautiful ring light that's right above here that she says, you need to brighten your face. And I'm like, I do? What was wrong with all my other stuff? She goes, no, I'm telling you. She put a bunch of plants in back of me here, and our picture over
take care of
here. And yeah, I'm probably not, angling things, the way I'm supposed to yet, but she's that support.
yeah.
And we can't do what we do to help other people without that family support. It's just, invaluable. So thank you for sharing that. That's really important. I got one last question for you, and it has to do with whether we're a new agent just jumping into the market or thinking about getting our license, or perhaps we've been in real estate for a number of years, but maybe today we've come to be a little stagnant in our
Mm.
business. Should I even continue this anymore? Those type of scenarios. What advice would you offer to anyone that is looking to be successful in real estate in 2026?
I guess my question is, what are you going to do to be successful? You know, and you want to make a lot of money. How are you going to make a lot of money? Well, I'm going to talk to, I mean, how are you going to talk to a lot of people? Like, what does that look? You got to break it down all the way, and that's for somebody that's been in the industry for a long time. Maybe you got complacent, and
Mhm.
not doing those things. And somebody coming in, these are the things you have to do. So it's again, it has nothing to do with motivation and everything to do with discipline. Do the things that work.
That's great. And be willing to do the things that others are not. Other
Yes.
people want, I look at the difference. I was explaining this to a group of loan officers, colleagues at another shop. They invited me to come speak to their shop. And, I asked them, are you a loan officer or are you a loan advisor? And
Mhm.
I saw some people like going like this, like, what's he talking about? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And I says, think about it. In the old days, when you needed a home loan, you'd go to your local bank, and the bank tellers were over here, and a couple of people were over here in cubes or maybe a glass office or whatever, and it would say John Rodriguez, loan officer, and you'd make an appointment and you'd come in, tell them what you need, they'd provide it. That's a loan officer sitting behind a desk. You went to them, you needed something, they provided it. A loan advisor is what most people are wanting and needing today.
Yes.
Somebody that's willing to roll up their sleeves, get out in the field, go meet people, go talk to people, educate them, and
Mhm.
work side by side with their realtor partners, whether it's at an open house or community event, whatever it is. And their eyes just lit up like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm being that loan officer sitting back waiting for business
Yeah,
and
exactly.
my phone's not ringing. So very, very important.
Yeah.
Well, I am grateful, Tanea, for you jumping on the podcast this morning, showing really everybody that will watch us, including your other friends that you talked about earlier, what it takes to be a champion. And it's clear that you are a winner. You have that champion mindset, and you're putting it to great use, helping more families. And could not wish you more success as you launch into 2026 and beyond, and stay in that top 10, maybe that top five, maybe that top three. And I can't wait to see you as the number one producer in your office.
Oh, thank you. And I claim that.
It's like, I'll take that. Well, I'm wishing you a great rest of your day as well. And I look forward to hearing some wonderful things coming up soon from you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great.